Greetings everybody, this is Diaspora Connect. My name is Simon Okelo. I'm the founder of One Vibe Africa, and I'm sitting here with the amazing cast of Barber Chronicle. Can you please introduce yourself really quick?
Hi, I'm Maynard Eziashi, and in the play I play Mensa, Musa, and Andile.
Thank you very much.
Hi, and I'm Ofoegbu, and I play the character of Emmanuel in Barber Chronicles.
Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Servi, aka Kwesi. I play Elnathan, Dwayne, and Benjamin.
Thank you very much.
I'm Ekow Quartey. I play Kwabena, Simon, Olawale, and Wale.
Wonderful, wonderful. So again, we are really excited to be sitting here with you guys tonight. I didn't know this could happen. You know, we pull it off the way, you know, we Africans are good at making things happen within, you know, with very limited time.
Absolutely, it's good. It's good.
Man, how is it being in Seattle, first of all?
It's been wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Beautiful city. There's a good vibe. There's just a really nice vibe in the people here.
Excellent. Could you just give me a little bit of a narrative or a short summary of how it was preparing for the show? I know you guys have been on the road for a while. How was the preparation? How long did it take? And you know, how has that part of it been?
Well, the story started off 9 years ago, so it's been 9 years in the making with the writer Inua Ellams, who hails from Nigeria, Mid-Belt Nigeria, actually. And Maynard is one of the originals, as well as Joe. I was brought in for this particular tour, and I didn't know anything about the play, and I'm just absolutely excited to be involved because of the pan-continental story, the African perspective that the show is directed from, you know, to the wider world, to the wider public. And as a showpiece and as a theatre piece, you know, it has a lot of volume in terms of other societies understanding the African continent.
One thing that I think Kwesi and myself found when we first did this play back in 2014, back then it was just an hour long, and it was set mainly in London and mainly in Nigeria. Just in London. Yeah, so
How
we
long
did.
ago was this?
This was 2014.
2014.
4 years ago. Yeah.
And it had a different title then, didn't it?
Yeah, it's called
Fast Cuts and
Snapshots. But you had, in this London Barbers, you had all the different nationalities. You had South African, you had Ghanaian, Ugandan, and so forth, all customers of this London barber shop. And what was really interesting at the time was we decided to take the play to Glasgow. And I remember thinking, Glasgow?
Yes,
Will they even be able to understand us in Glasgow?
Yeah.
You know. And then we took the play there, and it was such a success. And that's when I realized that although, you know, we talk a lot about, you know, black experiences and African experiences, most of these themes are universal.
Absolutely.
And that's a very interesting thing in the play. But also as well, what's great for me is the fact that you have 33 different black characters on that stage.
Right, it was so amazing. I watched it last night, and in fact, your friend was a businessman doing import and export out of Africa. Right? I love that guy, you know. But you know, you know, that part reminded me of the potential that Africa has now. You know, a lot of people are saying Africa is rising and all of that, but I think Africa is now. You know, and I wanted you to just give us a little bit of a background of how you got involved and the impact that you think this has in the entire African nation globally.
I got involved on the workshops a couple of years ago, and then I came to see it on press night, and I was sat there just watching these guys just absolutely kill it. It was a phenomenal show to watch, and then to have the opportunity to now be in it, I wasn't going to let that go by. So when the audition came, I grabbed it with both hands, and then that's how I'm out here. I suppose the thing about this script and this play is that Maynard said it is 33 black men, different black men, portrayed in this piece who have different voices. I've said it before. What's incredible about this play is that you realise when you go from London to Accra to Kampala to Lagos, it's all the same but different. It's just a slightly different lens. Like you start hearing things that you on the West you would never suspect someone to ever say. Like when they're talking about Mandela, for example. And that, as those lines are said, I don't want to give too much away so people do come and see it. But as those lines are said, you go, oh, I've never heard a black man talk about Mandela like that. But then what Inua has done is he's just dug deeper and deeper into truth. And that's why possibly you have 33 characters who aren't caricatures. Every single one of them are real black men from Africa or London, from the diaspora around the Caribbean as well. And I think the play, hopefully it gives people confidence that our stories, and these aren't legends, these are new stories, as opposed to the myths and the legends that people could write about Africa. These are new stories, so that there are stories to be told.
You know, it leaves you thinking of how many more stories exist that are not being told. And also, you know, when I think about Patrice's role, you know, it reminds me of, you know, the saying that people say all the time, that don't kill the messenger. You know, a lot of the time, the drunkards in our community, they tell the truth, but nobody listens. And you know,
a little bit of palm wine can open the truth, can open the mouth.
He was so passionate, you know, he moved me. You know, I didn't want this part to end where we got so emotional. And you know,
Inua did a wonderful thing, and he did go to these 5 African countries and sat in barbershops and listened to real stories. So these stories are actually real. So, you know, and that puts the edge on the theatrical piece, because people can relate and people are relating, which is why I think we're here, because it's been a success and it's continuing to be a success from this Pan-African perspective.
There's a thread, there's the football thread that was holding this whole piece together that I want to touch on, but I want to teach you guys a Swahili word.
Oh, please.
You know, barber shop in Kiswahili is kinyozi.
Kinyozi.
Kinyozi. Yeah, I want to say that because in Kenya, you know, Kenyans are watching this. And so this is really important so that they don't feel left out, because Kenya was not featured in the play. But kinyozi is now how we are going to be featured. But Maynard, did you want to speak a little bit about how soccer became the thread that, you know, is connecting all the countries?
Yes, I think one of the things that we have in Africa is, you know, our love of football. And whenever I've travelled throughout Africa, I've been able to connect with people almost immediately through football. And so that's the brilliant thing about this play. The connection that runs through the whole piece is this football match. You know, so the whole action takes place in one day, and it's, you know, everything is connected by the football match between Chelsea and Barcelona.
Man, Anthony, the relationship that you had with what's the name of the gentleman that played the son of your friend? Elio. Man, that dynamic kept me wanting more. Tell us a little bit about that makes you feel outside of you being in the play, like outside of it. You know, I can relate to my relationship with my dad living in the diaspora. You know, I talk to him like once a year, and that distance and that struggle is always there.
Well, you know, my father might have said, you know, fruit does not fall far from the tree, you know, and
crab does not give birth to a bird.
Exactly. From, you know, and from an African perspective, you know, we all look up to our fathers, and let it be said that the barbershop is like a platform, if not its own church in a way, where men can go and talk safely about male issues, but not just, but involving love, life, death, relationships, and everything else. And that's a brilliant thing that Inua has done, you know, from this collective viewpoint. And it's about us trying to find out who we are through our lineage, our fathers, if we're men, you know, and our mothers too, but especially that connection, that father, that is universal.
I just wanted to kind of jump in and add to that. One of the beautiful things for me about the play is the fact that we don't resolve issues.
Right.
There is no right or wrong necessarily. There are just different ways, which is also something that is peculiar in barbershops. There are many different discussions, and you walk out and you can decide yourself which side you stand on.
Right.
And it's the same with this play. We discuss all different sides, and then it's left to the viewer. We treat the viewer as an adult for them to decide what they felt their truth was.
So Joe, I want to ask you a question real quick. I know you have a thought. But yesterday when we were talking after the show, you mentioned the impact of this show on some people who are not very racially tolerant, and they are not easily receptive of some of the truths that are being told to power in this play. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Often when this piece is performed, people do feel so uncomfortable that they had to leave. There was one performance last week when a whole row of people got up and left during the debate about the N-word, in which both sides of the argument were portrayed. There were people who thought that there was nothing wrong with it, who were all for it and being used in so-called reclaiming, and there were others who were saying this is a bad word, we need not to use it, this is the history, and people do feel very uncomfortable about it, and I think it's a problem that we have in our society, that we don't like to face things that make us uncomfortable. And unless we do that, very little will change. You can't hide from the truth. You can shut your eyes and put your fingers in your ears, but it doesn't change anything. You have to face things in order to make change.
I loved how Takwe, when he was talking about his wife.
Tuane. Yeah.
Tuane, okay. Anyhow, it looks like, did you have a word to say before we wind up?
No, you know what? I think I've forgotten it. So.
Well, listen, I taught you guys a Swahili word a minute ago. Can we just say that in closing, if you guys remember? Kinyozi. One more time. Kinyozi. Thank you all so much. Thank you for watching Diaspora Connect, and subscribe to One Vibe TV on YouTube. Thanks a lot, STG, and the organizers of the Barbershop Chronicle, for giving us this opportunity to spend time with you. Asante.
Asante.